GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Let's dive into the headlines shaping our city and beyond, from the latest developments downtown to the stories that matter most to you.
CDPQ Infra announced today that it has entered the planning stage for 2 additional REM stations in the city's downtown core. One station will sit in the rapidly developing Griffintown district, while the other will serve the Bridge Bonaventure corridor, an area anchored by the historic Bonaventure building and the new commercial hub near the Jacques Cartier Bridge. The projects are part of the broader expansion of the electric light rail network that already connects the South Shore, Airport, and West Island to downtown. CDPQ Infra expects both stations to be completed by the year 2030, adding roughly a kilometer of new track and improving access for commuters and visitors alike. The new stops will integrate with existing bus routes and BIXI stations, further strengthening the multimodal transit web across the island.
Authorities captured a kangaroo that roamed the Boucherville stretch of Highway 20 earlier today. The marsupial, which had escaped from an unknown source, was first seen hopping along the busy roadway before police and animal control officers secured it near a residential neighborhood. Witnesses reported the animal remained calm as officers approached, and no injuries were recorded. The kangaroo was transported to a local wildlife sanctuary for health evaluation and possible return to its original home. Traffic on Highway 20 was briefly slowed while the team worked, but normal flow resumed without incident. Officials reminded drivers that unexpected wildlife can appear on the road, especially during warm weather when animals wander farther from familiar areas. The rapid response ensured public safety and the well-being of the lone traveler. Animal control specialists will monitor the situation and keep the public informed.
Montreal Children's Hospital issued an urgent alert today about a sharp increase in serious injuries among children and teenagers using electric scooters. Hospital officials said their pediatric trauma team has documented a marked rise in fractures, head trauma, and internal injuries linked to scooter rides over the past several weeks. Data collected by the hospital's injury surveillance program show the number of severe cases has more than doubled compared with the same period last year. Doctors emphasized that many of the victims were under the age of 16 and were not wearing helmets at the time of the accidents. The hospital is urging parents and caregivers to enforce protective gear and to supervise young riders closely, while city officials are reviewing safety measures for shared scooter operators. No further details on the investigation were released.
2 low-income residential blocks in the eastern part of the city have fallen into severe disrepair, officials said today. The properties, originally built to provide affordable housing, now sit empty and crumbling, with broken windows, water damage, and unsafe structural conditions. City inspectors reported that both buildings have been abandoned for months, leaving tenants displaced and the neighborhood at risk of further decay. The vacant structures are located in a densely populated area that has long relied on affordable units to accommodate working families. Municipal authorities said they are reviewing emergency measures to secure the sites and prevent hazards, while housing agencies are urged to find alternative accommodations for any remaining residents. Officials hope swift action will protect public safety and restore confidence in the area.
REM service between Gare Central and Panama stations was halted Tuesday afternoon after emergency crews entered the tunnel. Officials said the interruption stemmed from a safety intervention, though they have not released details about the underlying cause. Trains on the downtown to West Line were stopped, and passengers were instructed to use alternate bus routes or the metro while repairs are assessed. The REM, which links the Central Business District with the South Shore, the airport, and the West Island, carries roughly 30,000 riders each weekday, making the outage significant for commuters. The line normally runs every 10 minutes during peak periods, so the disruption affects a high-frequency corridor. Emergency services remain on site, and REM operators have promised regular updates as the situation evolves. No injuries have been reported, and service is expected to resume once the area is cleared and inspected.
Later we'll break down Quebec's $1 billion water infrastructure boost for municipalities, plus the latest on REM plans and more. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. That was a quick break. Up next, Rachel Reed brings you the top local stories you need to know.
Quebec's Auto Insurance Board released its annual road safety report for 2025, showing a modest decline in fatalities but a rise in injuries. The data indicate that the number of deaths on provincial roads fell compared with the previous year, while the count of people injured in collisions grew. Officials attribute the lower death toll to continued enforcement of speed limits and broader use of safety equipment, yet the increase in injuries suggests that more crashes are still occurring, often resulting in non-fatal but serious harm. Health officials warn that the uptick may place additional strain on emergency responders and hospitals during peak travel periods. The board's figures will inform future traffic safety initiatives and may affect insurance premiums across the province. Residents can expect the agency to monitor trends closely as it refines its prevention strategies.
On June 16th, the provincial government signed a new funding pact with the province's English-language universities. The agreement will channel money into expanding French-language courses, immersion projects, and other learning opportunities on campuses that primarily teach in English. University presidents said the added resources will allow students to take more French classes without leaving their home institution, something that has been limited in the past. Officials explained the move supports the broader goal of promoting French use across the province, while giving Anglophone students a chance to improve their language skills. The funding is set to roll out over the next academic year, with each participating university developing its own program plan. This initiative aims to broaden access to French education for students who might otherwise have few options. The collaboration also includes a review process to ensure the new courses meet provincial quality standards.
The province announced Monday that it will provide municipal authorities with $1 billion for water-related infrastructure projects. The funding comes from a federal $10 billion program aimed at modernizing local water systems across the province. Officials said the money will support upgrades to aging pipes, treatment facilities, and new construction where needed. Quebec municipalities have long pressed for additional resources to address deteriorating networks that risk service disruptions. By channeling a portion of the federal envelope, the provincial government hopes to accelerate repairs and improve water quality for residents. The allocation was confirmed on June 16th, and the province said it will work with each municipality to identify priority projects and disperse the funds throughout the coming years. The investment is expected to create dozens of local jobs in construction and engineering, and to bring long-term savings by reducing leakages and energy use.
The Council of the Magistracy summoned a Court of Quebec judge to appear on June 16th after a string of missed deadlines. The judge's record includes a decision that lingered for 500 days before being delivered. The Chief Justice of the Court of Quebec lodged a formal complaint last year, citing the judge's chronic tardiness in issuing rulings. The Council, which oversees judicial conduct across the province, has the authority to impose discipline when procedural deadlines are ignored. This hearing in Montreal comes as part of a broader effort to ensure timely justice for litigants who have waited months for resolution. The magistrates will review the complaint and determine whether sanctions are warranted, sending a clear signal that prolonged delays will not be tolerated. The outcome will be recorded in the Council's public report, providing transparency to the public.
Authorities from the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals have confirmed that a small marsupial is missing and is thought to be roaming the south shore of Montreal. The animal was first reported absent on June 15 and has remained unaccounted for several days. Because marsupials are not indigenous to Quebec, any presence on the province's mainland is considered atypical. The SPCA is monitoring the situation and coordinating with local wildlife officials to locate the creature. No injuries have been reported, and the organization has not released further details about the species or its origin. Field teams have been dispatched to neighborhoods across the South Shore, including Longueuil, Brossard, and St. Lambert, to conduct visual surveys. The investigation continues as officials assess the potential impact on local ecosystems.
Now, let's turn to your evening outlook with our meteorologist, Sarah, for tonight.
Tonight we dive into Montreal's weather, from tonight's overcast sky to tomorrow's gentle rain chances. On this day in history, Montreal saw its hottest temperature of 28 degrees set in 2020, a brief spike during a lingering heat wave that pushed the province into record-breaking summer warmth. The coldest reading came more recently, 9.4 degrees in 2024, when an unusual Arctic air burst slipped south, turning early summer evenings into a chilly surprise. By contrast, our climate normals hover around a high of 22 degrees and a low of 15, making both extremes feel especially striking. Right now, the city sits under a thick overcast blanket with the temperature holding steady at 19 degrees, humidity around 54%, and a gentle 8 km/h breeze. The night will stay cloud-covered, keeping the low at 12 degrees before sunrise. As the sun climbs, expect a modest rise to a high of 25 degrees, feeling comfortable under a bright sky. The UV index will climb to 7, so a light sunscreen or hat is wise if you'll be outdoors. Winds will stay modest from the southwest, topping at 20 km/h. No watches or warnings are in effect, and we'll now glance at the 5-day outlook. Looking ahead, Wednesday brings another 25-degree day with a low of 14, but clouds will linger, and there's a 25% chance of a brief shower. Thursday turns cooler at 23 degrees, and the chance of rain jumps to 90%, so keep an umbrella handy for the light drizzle expected in the afternoon. Friday eases to a high of 20 degrees and a low of 15, with partly cloudy skies and about a 50% chance of scattered showers. Saturday settles at a milder 18 degrees, low 14, and a half chance of rain throughout the day. Sunday finishes the stretch with a return to 20 degrees, low 14, and a 40% chance of lingering clouds and light rain. Stay cozy as the week shifts toward cooler, wetter patterns.
Coming up, traffic updates, a look at today's Chamber Spotlight, and a quick recap of the Habs' big night. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
And now here's Jason with sports.
A big night for the Habs, hardware for two Montreal stars. The Montreal Canadiens took home 2 NHL trophies on Friday, June 5th. Captain Nick Suzuki captured the Frank J. Selk Trophy, awarded to the league's top defensive forward. Teammate Cole Caulfield earned the Lady Byng Trophy. A double dose of recognition for Montreal, according to CBC Sports NHL. More good news out of the Canadiens organization. Prospect Bryce Pickford has been named CHL Defenseman of the Year. Sportsnet reports the honor signals promising depth in Montreal's defensive pipeline, a name Habs fans will want to remember. On the women's side, the PWHL has released the selection order for its 2026 draft, set to take place in 2 days. Sportsnet reports the announcement gives teams and fans a clearer picture of how draft day will unfold.
On a crisp Saturday evening on the banks of the St. Lawrence, the community gathered at Parc Jean Drapeau for a candlelit tribute to the more than 100 lives lost in heavy vehicle crashes across Quebec this year. Families, first responders, and local schoolchildren stood shoulder to shoulder, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of hundreds of candles flickering against the river's reflection. A young violinist from a nearby elementary school lifted her bow, filling the night with a gentle melody that seemed to carry both sorrow and hope. As the ceremony unfolded, volunteers from the Société de l'Assurance Automobile du Québec handed out safety pledges, and a coalition of trucking companies announced a new zero-tolerance program for distracted driving, promising additional training for every driver on the province's highways. The moment that lingered was when a father, his eyes wet but steady, placed a single rose on the memorial wall and whispered, "We will remember, and we will change." It was a reminder that even in tragedy, Montreal's spirit unites to protect one another.
Here in the bustling St. Laurent corridor of Montreal, the team at Santé Quebec gathered for a modest ceremony that felt more like a neighborhood celebration. Director Marie-Claude Boissé-Chéard stood beside a freshly painted mural depicting the province's diverse communities, while a group of nurses, physicians, and volunteers unfurled a series of glossy placards bearing the newly standardized names for hospitals and clinics. The most striking detail was a bright teal sign that now reads Centre de Santé Communautaire St. Louis, replacing an old, weathered wooden board that had been a familiar landmark for generations. As the crowd examined the crisp lettering, a retired pharmacist named Jacques smiled, recalling how the old name had once confused a patient seeking urgent care. The new nomenclature, though technical, promises clearer navigation for anyone walking into a health center, especially newcomers and seniors. It's a quiet step toward a province where language no longer creates barriers. In the end, the simple act of renaming reminded everyone that even small changes can knit a community tighter.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on The Wrap. Tonight's highlight was the surprising capture of an escaped kangaroo on the South Shore, a reminder that anything can happen in our city. Stay tuned tomorrow for more local headlines and in-depth reporting. I'm Peter Miller. See you then.